The fourth Inter-African Trade Fair is underway here in Algiers. Algiers is at the heart of African trade this week, and it's bringing together investors, leaders, entrepreneurs, artists, and different people here in Algiers to discover the opportunities and the potential in Africa, in our continent, with over $44 billion in trade deals expected and a dynamic program of forums, exhibitions. This fair is a milestone for African business collaboration. Today, we are joined by AHMED MANSUR, the Chief Advisor to the President of Dangote Group. We're delighted to have you. Thank you for accepting our invite.
Thank you very much. It is my pleasure to be in Algiers.
Thank you very much. So Dangote's group is Africa's largest industrial conglomerate and now a premier partner of the IATF 2025. Why was it important for the group to align with this trade fair?
Thank you very much. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim.
Thank you.
For the Dangote Group, the development of the IATF and indeed the AFCFTA, the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, was a most welcome opportunity. Dangote Group has been investing in Nigeria and a few other African countries, maybe for the past 20 years. But this AFCFTA and the IATF offers new opportunities for us to identify partners, to identify opportunities for investment in other countries. And that is why we have been attending the IATF since its inception. And we are very delighted to be in Nigeria to explore new opportunities in the sectors that we are already operating in, and of course in other sectors in the economies of Africa.
Talking about new opportunities, are you planning to invest and expand into other new sectors?
Yes, indeed. As you know, we are already investing quite significantly in cement. Today, the Dangote Group is the largest cement producer in Africa, with the capacity to produce over 50 million tons of cement every year. And we're investing in about 10 countries in Africa, including Nigeria. But we are also present in other countries where we have major sales outlets. And it is our intention to continue to look for opportunities because as we are all aware, cement is key to the development of infrastructure. And we know that one of the major bottlenecks, expansion of African trade and African development has been the poor infrastructure, especially cross-border infrastructure. So we are confident that there will be new opportunities for us to expand our cement production and to be probably one of the largest cement manufacturers in the world. Today, I think we are one of the 10 top cement manufacturers globally. We are also looking for opportunities in other sectors, for instance, in fertilizer, in other oil and gas areas, as well as in the food sector. Because again, the food sector is critical to the development of Africa. Without food security, without being able to develop our own food sector to become self-sufficient in food products, obviously development will continue to elude us. Africa is one of the fastest growing economies in the world today, with increasing population, increasing younger population, which means that our economies must continue to grow if we are in fact to keep our people prosperous.
And said.
Indeed.
With strong investments in cement, fertilizers, petrochemicals, and energy, how do these sectors connect with the goals of IFTA to boost inter-African trade and industrialization?
Indeed. In all of these sectors, in cement, in food sectors, in energy, Africa has still huge demand. I believe that today Africa is meeting less than 50% of its total demand in these sectors, particularly in energy. And to that extent, the idea of the AFCFTA, the African Continental Free Trade Area Arrangement, and the IATF is in fact to make Africa increasingly more self-sufficient first, and then to make Africa a major participant in global trade. Today, Africa only plays a minor role in global trade. Africa contributes less than 5% of global trade. And that means our presence in the global economy is suddenly too low, and we must boost that significantly. And that is why the Dangote Group is focusing on those areas which will help Africa first to become self-sufficient, and secondly, to participate in global trade and global economic activities as a significant partner.
As a significant player. So how do you assess today in 2025 the climate of investments and business in Africa compared to 10 years ago, let's say?
Oh, there has been tremendous progress, absolutely. But still not in.
Right.
As I said, Africa still trades more with the partners outside itself than with partners within it. Total African trade with Africa is probably still less than 20%, which means 20% of African trade is within Africa.
Mm.
And 80% is with other countries like Europe, Americas, and Asia.
With Asia.
But if you go to Asia, you find that almost 70% of Asian trade is within Asia. And the same thing in Europe, probably 60%. And in America, about the same, maybe 50, 60%. So Africa has tremendous opportunity to expand trade within itself, between African countries, to create opportunities for investment also within these countries. Today, the problem is when we are looking for investment, we're always looking outside Africa. We're looking for Europe, we're looking for America, we're looking for China to come and invest. But there is opportunity for African investors to also invest in
Africa
by investing not necessarily in their country, but also in other countries.
By being here, Mr. Ahmed Mansour, how do you assess people's awareness, African countries' leaders' awareness about the fact that we do have to trade with each other? Is it higher than the last years? How is it today?
I believe that IATF has helped over the past 6-8 years to open up the eyes of Africans, African investors, African business people, African governments to see the need for intra-African trade to expand significantly and to see the opportunities for such. For instance, when we started investing, it took us almost 2-3 years to invest in another country. I don't want to mention the country now, just because of lack of awareness.
Just because of lack of awareness. That.
Yes, but now our latest effort to invest outside Nigeria, in Ethiopia, where we are investing in fertilizer, took us barely a few months because now there is awareness. Now Africans across the continent are conscious that if their countries are to develop, they must seek investors not only from outside Africa, but within Africa. And frankly, I believe that what we have observed is that when you are looking for foreign investors, you go to China or you go to Switzerland or you go to Europe to look for investors, the response you get is hardly, it tends to say, okay, show us the opportunities, show us the projects, and so on. What we do in Africa, we go to the countries and look for those opportunities. And that is why IATF is very significant and very, very important for African development and the expansion of African trade.
Leaders and ministers at IATF have praised the Dangote's role. How does the group measure its broader socioeconomic impact across our African continent?
What you have said, in fact, is one of the things we measure, because we find that acceptance of Dangote investment in countries has increased significantly. Our president has been invited by so many African countries to come and see what opportunities are available, and we have had tremendous encouragement to invest. So that is one. The second, of course, is that we look not just at a particular country, but at regions. For instance, when we come to Algeria, we are looking at what opportunities are available in Algeria, but what opportunities are available in the Maghreb, in the region as a whole. Because there are opportunities also, not only to invest, but to trade. When we invest, for instance, in Senegal, we produce cement in Senegal, but we export from Senegal to Gambia, Burkina, to Cote d'Ivoire, and so on and so forth. And that expands intra-African trade as well. So it basically is a win-win sort of situation. You expand, you increase investment, you expand trade opportunities.
Afreximbank has supported landmark Dangote projects. What role do African financial institutions play in turning your vision into reality?
Yes, indeed. I believe that we have received tremendous support, encouragement, and advice from Afreximbank in our investment. Our flagship investment in the refinery, where we have recently commissioned, about 2 years ago, commissioned the largest single train refinery in the world, was really significantly supported by Afreximbank and by other African financial institutions. So we must commend the financial sector in Africa. Despite many challenges, the financial sector has continued to grow, has continued to support investors, has continued to provide opportunities for expanding investment. One of the key challenges that investors in Africa meet, of course, is the financing cost. And this is what, particularly for small and medium enterprises, has impeded investment and growth. But we believe that the financial sector is doing as best it can. I think the leadership of Afreximbank has been very, very pivotal to this. And we're looking for new ways in which we can create financial facilities that will ease investment, that will promote trade, and so on and so forth. And I think Afreximbank has been with that through several initiatives that make not only the investment possible, but also payment systems. Payment systems are very important.
There's a new payment system that has been implemented, the PAPSS.
Yeah, the Pan-African Payment and Settlement System that Afreximbank has introduced has been very, very much very welcome by most African investors, and indeed, particularly by small and medium enterprises, because not only reduces the cost of finance, of trade, but also the time for payment. And, to businesses, people, the time is a much important, it's of great importance in terms of payments. You conclude a transaction today, you want your payment tomorrow or today if possible. And because of the current financial architecture globally, the African investor always has a disadvantage, because you buy dollars to come and if you want to trade in dinar in Algeria, you have to buy dollars, and so you come to buy a dinar with it. And when you get the dinar, you have to sell the dinar to buy dollars. So you lose on two fronts.
You lose on two fronts.
Exactly.
But with the new system, you will not lose.
Absolutely.
Neither party will lose, because it's a system that will you will trade in your local currency.
Exactly.
So it's win-win.
Exactly. That's the intention of the PAPS
new payment system.
And I think it's something that investors welcome very much.
Very much. In a competitive space with global players, how is Dangote positioning itself as Africa's industrial leader?
Well, at the moment, as you said, we are probably one of the top investors in Africa, whether you're looking at African investors or also global investors. I'm absolutely sure that over the past, our refinery, for instance, where we made an investment of over $20 billion, has been probably the largest single investment in Africa for the last 30 years or so. And I believe that even globally, that level of investments is very rare. There cannot be very many of them in the world. So yes, we are indeed competing very well. We are looking at opportunities, but we are focusing on Africa because we believe that this is where the growth potential is. Growth potential for us as a business, but also growth potential for the economy. And of course, looking at the demographics of Africa, we have the largest young demography in the world. And that means we have probably in Africa, over 60% of Africans are below 40. And that means they are still growing. They are still expanding their family. They are still going to create more demand for all sorts of products.
Since you are here in the IATF 2025, are there any sectors that you're prioritizing over the others? Have you found opportunities while being here for the past 4 days?
Yes, we are indeed looking for specific opportunities. We are looking for opportunities to expand our fertilizer because, as we have done in cement, we believe we could create self-sufficiency in Africa in fertilizer. And that is critical because the consumption of fertilizer in Africa is one of the lowest. And if we want to achieve food security and food self-sufficiency, it is absolutely important that we increase both the yield and the production of food items. And that means more fertilizer.
Looking ahead, what new frontiers, whether sectors or countries, will Dangote Group focus on to drive Africa's next phase of growth?
Yes. Recently, we have started to look at, obviously, we just entered oil and gas, and we're expanding our presence in oil and gas, not only in the downstream sector where we have the largest refinery in Africa, but also upstream, looking for gas in particular, not only as a fuel, but also as a source of raw material for products like fertilizer, like petrochemicals. We are intending to kickstart production of polypropylene in Nigeria at the moment, with the capacity of about 800,000 metric tons per annum. And we hope to expand on that, not just in Nigeria, but also in other countries. So we are looking for opportunities there. We know that the polypropylene and other petrochemicals are very significant as source of raw material for downstream industries, like packaging, like in the medical sector, pharmaceutical sector, as well as in household product. So there's tremendous opportunity. We believe that as African businesses grow, they are going to start looking for more and more inputs and basic raw materials into the sector. And we want to be able to ensure that those people who are operating in the petrochemical sector will have a source at least of polypropylene from Nigeria going forward.
Finally,
we are also looking at other food sectors. We are currently expanding our rice production in Nigeria. We are also doing sugar from sugarcane. We have the largest sugarcane production in Nigeria at the moment. We are also looking at or starting to operate in Ghana. So we are looking for other opportunities in other African countries. Even in cement, we're looking at sectors in countries, but also at regions. So, for instance, if we have opportunity to manufacture cement in Algeria, we look, can we, export it to Libya or to Mali or to countries within that area, and that again, as I said, creates more trade opportunities for us and indeed for the continent.
And for the continent. And finally, what message would Aliko Dangote would want to send to Africans about industrialization, self-reliance, and the opportunities ahead, and also the youth, since they make a very huge part of our continent?
I think it is important, very important, that African governments, African business sector recognize that the responsibility for developing Africa rests with Africans. And therefore, while we will welcome investment from outside the continent, while we welcome technology from outside the continent, while we welcome expanding business opportunities outside Africa, the focus should be on Africa and intra-African. So at the government level, we must focus on creating the climate for investment and the climate for trade and business for all Africans. And I think this is a very important part of the AFCFTA to align and rationalize and simplify processes for approval of investment or for approval of trade. We must also create the infrastructure that is absolutely critical. Today, sometimes it is cheaper to bring product in terms of the transport, to bring from China to Ethiopia than it is to bring it from South Africa to Ethiopia or from Nigeria to Ethiopia because of lack of infrastructure. So we must build the infrastructure. So secondly, and this is also very important, we must ease the process of movement across borders of people and goods and services.
Transportation.
Particularly transportation and also the regulatory mechanism. Visas, for instance. If today you want to go around Africa and you want to visit every country in Africa, 54 countries, you need about 54 visas. If you are going to Europe, you need only one visa. If we can review these policies, because it's a policy matter, these policies to ease movement of people, you will create the condition which is absolutely essential for businesses to engage each other, to get to know each other, to build the confidence and the understanding that enables them to invest or to trade together. And the trust in particular, absolutely. It's very difficult to trust with somebody simply you have talked on the telephone, or you see only when you travel 1,000 kilometers. But when you are meeting somebody, when you have face-to-face meeting, it's easier to build trust and to build confidence. And investment and trade is about confidence and trust.
Thank you very much. If you have any last message, you're welcome to say it.
Well, thank you very much. I think the last message is really to thank the government and people of Algeria for creating this opportunity. This is my first visit to Algeria, and I have already had a good number of friends in the country. And I know that there are opportunities for investment for my company. So this may be an opening for us to start looking for that. I also must thank the IATF organizers, the Afro-Exim Bank, the AFCFTA Secretariat, and the African Union Commission for putting this together and creating opportunities for us. Lastly, I think I must encourage African youth, because today they are the ones that can create the potential for African growth and development. And there's tremendous capacity in our youth. I just visited the Canex Pavilion, and I see tremendous opportunities.
What's your advice for the African youth, if you can say that?
Focus. So focus on creating anything you can do. You have capacity. Identify your core talent, your interest, and build on it. And, put everything you can into it to grow your business. I believe that we have all the resources necessary. We have the capacity. We have the talent in Africa to develop Africa. And therefore, we should look to our youth to be able to deliver, particularly our young people, our young women in particular. In Nigeria in particular, we've seen a lot of development taking place as a result of young women going into businesses, particularly in areas such creative areas in particular. And I think creativity is not limited to any one particular region. We have creative talent everywhere across Africa, and we should exploit that to grow the continent.
Across the continent. Thank you very much for your time, Mr. Ahmed Mansour.
Thank you, madam. It's a pleasure being here.
Thank you, and thank you, dear viewers, for following this interview. We'll see you in the next ones.